Yo, 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 it's your boy again, the Ol Drunken Geek. And if you're watching this on the 25th, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, great Kwanzaa, lit Yule, banging Saturnalia, and a happy Festivus from the rest of us. Personally, I celebrate capitalist Christmas, so no religious stuff, just, presents. Fucking Santa hat, and I go to the strip club and get my, bells jingled. You know what I'm saying? But, moving on, I got a treat for you motherfuckers today. Today is my Star Wars spoiler review. I would love to say that I'm in the holiday spirit, but I'm really not. Because, to be honest, fucking Star Wars has bogarted my whole fucking December, yo. All of December was watching the prequels, the fucking originals, Rogue One, fucking Force Awakens, and now leading to Last Jedi, and I have watched this movie 3 times already. It just came out last week, and man, what can I say, bro? If you guys didn't already get it from the tag of this video, this is gonna be a full spoiler review, and I'm gonna talk about all the spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie, get the fuck out. Or if you don't care about spoilers, you can stay. But moving on. So, in this movie, I felt that Rian Johnson, he really used a lot of the tropes and a lot of the themes from the original movies and just kind of flipped them on its ear, introducing a lot of brand new energy to the franchise. But consequently, I felt like a lot of the nerd rage comes from like taking something that you loved and is now subverted into something different. And I understand the nerd rage, and I feel like some of the nerds are going way too far, but I will address this on a point-to-point basis. So every time I make a point, I will explain what I liked about it first, and then what I didn't like about it, and what maybe the nerd community at large might not have liked about it. So just so you know, that's how I'm gonna do it. I really, really dug this picture, like a lot. Like, it's become one of my favorite Star Wars flicks. But I did have some issues with the comedy at points. And, comedy was like 50-50 to me. And also, from a narrative standpoint, at points it's weak. So, I'm just gonna start character by character. Let's start with Poe Dameron. I really, really like the opening scene. But like I said before, the comedy didn't 100% hit with me. Especially when Poe ran up on that dreadnought. At the beginning, I was like, I don't know, man. When he called Hux and he was doing all that, like, oh, I'm on hold, all that stuff. It was a little but the action scenes from that particular scene was, that was fucking so dope, man. He ran up, he shot all the cannons out. I liked all the generals that were talking, that at that point, I saw that, like, Hux was like a novice at being, like, a commander, because all the commanders were like, I believe he's tooling with you, sir. And the other commander was all like, no, he's taking out our cannons. Like, you got the feeling that all these people that are working for the First Order, like, especially the older ones, they're like, they have, like, this empire-ness about them from the old flicks. Maybe, like, they've come from that lineage, and that was really cool to me. As far as Poe's comedic little joke moment, one thing that I liked about that was that it was really reminiscent of Han on the Death Star. That was funny when when he was talking, and he's like, yeah, everything here is fine. Yep. How are you? Like, I don't know. I just thought that it was a little bit reminiscent of that. And Rian Johnson does that throughout the movie a lot. He takes little cues and little moments, and does them in a different way. Like I said. He flips a lot of this on its ear, but he still uses a lot of the Star Wars cues in different scenes. So I feel like this first scene where Poe ends up taking out the dreadnought, even though Leia said, like, let's get the fuck out of here, that sets up his arc for the rest of the fucking movie. Poe is a hothead. He thinks with his cockpit, you know what I mean? in other, like Leia put it, he thinks with his cockpit. It set up the fact that being a flyboy, being the hero, being the shot, the hot shot is maybe not the best way to be a leader. A leader takes more than just being, let's shoot this shit up, let's blow shit up, let's do it now. It's more than being impulsive. It takes more thought. And I felt like throughout the whole movie, it just, it reinforced that development in Poe. Like throughout the movie, he learns about this. He learns about this through the wrong actions, perhaps, but he does learn about it. This leads me to the character that gave Poe the most conflict in the whole movie, which was Holdo, Vice Admiral Holdo, I believe is the lady with the purple hair. That was a nice addition to the cast. I thought that the conflict that she brought Poe, and ultimately the lesson that she teaches Poe about leadership, along with Leia, is something that will be carried on to the next movie, and something that will reap benefits a lot in the next movie. She was great. The actress was great. So was Poe, by the way. Poe in this movie got a lot more to do than he did in Force Awakens. So, yeah, man, that was really cool. What a lot of people up on the own lines have been saying is that a lot of the conflict in this movie between Holdo and Poe could have been resolved if Holdo had just taken him to the side and be like, bro, like, this is my plan, chill the fuck out, But at the same time, my rebuttal to that is, they're in a military situation, dog. You're supposed to shut the fuck up and follow orders. Plus, Holdo was kind of like pissed off at him for having sacrificed all those fucking bombers. She was like, dude, I don't need to explain anything to you. I'm your commanding officer, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. Do what I tell you. Go back to your motherfucking post. And, you can argue back and forth whether she could have said something. But I think it's a moot point because, like I said, it's a military situation. And I ain't mad at it. Moving along, though. How about that scene when Holdo fucking... The last scene where she's in. Where she takes the cruiser, takes it to fucking... warp speed, and just fucking cuts through, what's his name, Snoke's fucking ship. That was arguably one of the fucking best scenes in the whole fucking movie. I swear to God, I've seen this shit 3 times, and in every theater, the people that you can tell haven't seen the movie are all like, like the first time I saw it, opening day, you could hear a fucking pin drop in that theater. That shit was so dope. So dope. Now, you can also argue that in the long run, Poe's rash decisions might have saved the rebellion in a way, but that's also to me a moot point. Yeah, they didn't know about that they could track them through hyperspace or whatever, but it's not like Poe knew that shit. It's not like he did that with any kind of foresight. Not like he did that attack on the Dreadnought with any kind of foresight. So, to me, to say also that Poe might have saved the Resistance, who knows? Maybe, maybe not. That would be like an alternate universe type deal. But I think it's like too much to delve deep into that. That's like, at this point, it is a moot point. One of the things that I was not too crazy about the Poe Dameron arc was the fact that it felt like there was no consequence to all the bullshit he did. He did a mutiny, and he cost a lot of lives on 2 occasions, by sending Finn and Rose on this mission that caused them, to get snitched on, and got, the transports all fucked up. And also before that, having all the bombers fucked up. That to me, like, at the very end, like, I felt like he didn't even get like a slap on the wrist or anything. Like, at the very end, he was still the leader. Leia was still like, well, what are you looking at me? Follow this guy. It was like, I felt like there could have been a little bit more consequence to Poe, but, that's one of the little things that just really irked me about this flick. I really, really dug what this movie did with Leia this time around. I felt like this movie, they gave her a lot more to do than they did in Force Awakens. And they also painted her as a lot more competent leader, like a really competent leader with, experience and resolve. And to be honest, like, there's a lot of nerd rage about her being able to use the Force. People are like, no, she's always just been an intuitive Force user. She has never used, like, the Force. Like, how the fuck you know? She just barely found out in Jedi that, she came from this lineage. She had no time to, hone any of her skills. And now it's 40 years later. You didn't think Luke taught her, like, the basics of, like, Force using, dog? Come on now. And, like, people act like that was such a fucking, the scene where she gets blown out of the spaceship and she comes back floating. like that was like a super strain, like, you know, like that was super difficult to do. That's arguably less work than you would have to do to move the lightsaber on Hoth. When Luke goes like that, you know, after having just 1 year learned of the Force, in like 1 year being able to pull that lightsaber, it would take about the same amount of force to pull her whole body to a door in space. She doesn't have to fight gravity. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they like. She doesn't have to fight any gravity. It's like, it's not that much energy needed to push her. You know what I mean? So I thought like that was like a bullshit point. Like, oh, how is she that powerful? That wasn't like a super strong feat that she did. She pushed herself in space a little bit. You might have had a problem with how it looked. People are like, oh, she looked like the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever the fuck, like Mary Poppins. It didn't bother me, dude. I thought the whole scene was beautiful. The whole scene leading to it was dope. Where, you know, Kylo takes that choice. He's like, fuck, I did patricide. I'm about to do some matricide too. Nah, not today, bruh. But again, this movie taking shit and flipping it on its ear, doing shit you don't expect. So you're like, oh shit, Kylo didn't shoot her. Oh, the bitch still got shot. The bitch got shot out. She's out in the vacuum of space. You're like, oh my god. And, you know, unfortunately, with Carrie Fisher in real life having passed, you're like, oh, this is how they're going to do it. Damn. Damn, that's so... What the fuck is she doing? Did she just... Yeah, motherfucker. She just did that. But that makes sense to me, dog. She's been knowing about the Force for 40 fucking years. She's fucking powerful with the Force. You don't think she can do that? Come on. The fuck out of my face. The fuck out of my face. But yeah, those are my points on Leia. We're coming to the most divisive part of this video, which is my breakdown of Luke's fucking character, dog. Luke, to me, had the best arc in the whole fucking movie, yo. He had a reasonable progression for who his character was and who his character is now from what we know from Force Awakens. We know, you know, that he went through some shit with Kylo, and now they get to do the exposition on that. You know what I mean? We get one of the few things, one of the first time I've ever seen in a Star Wars flick, a fucking flashback, a full-on flashback. We've had visions in the past, you know, Anakin had dreams, Luke had little visions, you know, we've had cave things. This movie has a cave thing too, but we've had visions like that, but we've never had a full-on flashback, I don't think. We just see somebody in the past, and we got that with Luke and Kylo, and also the only lightsaber clash, lightsaber on lightsaber action in the whole movie, even though it was mad short, Kylo and Luke. The reason I said that he had a reasonable progression is the fact that if you want new movies with the old characters, you're going to have to introduce new concepts and new internal conflicts for those characters. Because, like, how easy would it just be for Luke to show up with his laser sword, as he fucking put it, and just wreck everybody? He's like a super fucking Jedi now. He needs a challenge, and his challenge may not necessarily be a physical challenge. It's a philosophical challenge. It's an internal struggle within him that he has to overcome. You know, that's what I loved about this movie. That's the best part of this movie, that he is no longer like the idealistic hero. He is a defeated man. He needs to take another step, and that's one thing that I liked about that ending sequence where he vanishes. I know we just got Luke, and we would have liked to see more of him, but we will see him as the Force goes, by the way. Don't think we're not, but moving on. When he vanishes, they have that nice callback of the two sons. Now, does Ahch-To have two sons? I don't think so. I think this was like a Force vision for him. Because, you know, for us as the audience, we know that's from A New Hope, where he sees the two sons and he's thinking, and, you know, he's contemplating. But in that world, for him, I think it meant something. Seeing those two sons, I think, was not a vision, because when you see it from his perspective, you see the two sons, and when you see it from like a wider camera angle, whatever, you see you only see one son. The reason I think they did this, it was like to tell you, like, when Luke in episode 4, when he saw the two sons, he was making a decision. He was changing his life. He was taking a larger step into a larger world, as Obi put it. He was making that decision at that moment, and I feel like in the Act 2 sequence, when he was also taking a step into a larger world by becoming one with the Force. They're like moments in his life, special moments in his life. Might be the end of his life, but his new life as part of the Force, part of the living Force. His training of Rey, which I do call a training, to me was like the best, because we've already seen regular training, Yoda training Luke, and Luke getting some training from the council. Anakin getting some training from the council in the prequel and stuff like that. We've already seen this. If you want new movies, like, we can't just keep recycling the same things over and over. Luke trained Rey in a very, very specific, very special way. Not only did he give her a little bit of the basic training of the Force, he also trained her by example, by doing something that will always resonate with her. He gave her that life experience, those XP points, if you will, right off back. And to me, it was more honest to do Luke in this way, tying into all his mythology, and to have him be that kind of a teacher, as opposed to the typical, Obi-Wan, Yoda type of teacher. Plus that scene where he's like, reach out, and she's like, oh, I can feel it. He fucking whacks her with the little bush or whatever. I thought that was supposed to be also like a meta commentary on like the fucking fans. Is like, oh, he's teaching her. Oh yeah, she's getting it. Oh no, like, wisen up, you idiot. Like, this movie is about more than just lifting rocks, you fucking moron. Like, pay attention. Now, a lot of the people are having trouble with saying that Luke might be that Luke embraced the dark side a little bit when he tried to, when he lit his lightsaber to destroy Kylo. People were like, that's so out of character for Luke. Luke wouldn't do that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I can see how, like, your childhood hero being slightly evil might fuck with your head. But if you think about it, that's not necessarily a turn to the dark side. Not in my opinion. Because he wasn't killing Kylo out of any desire to kill Kylo, or any quest for more power, or because he was jealous of Kylo. Nothing like that. He did it because he knows the repercussions of the dark side. He knows what the dark side does to you. He was doing it out of a sense of duty. Now, a Jedi is without attachment, right? That's their whole philosophy. Well, not their whole philosophy. That's part of their philosophy. So, that is a Jedi's duty, to snuff out the dark side, right? He was doing his duty as a Jedi, if you want to go by the dogmatic, the dogma of the fucking Jedi. That was his duty, to snuff out the dark side right there. But obviously he's also a person, so he felt some kind of way about it, you know what I mean? And he didn't do it, but, it ultimately caused Kylo to finish turning. Though at that point he said, the Snoke had already gotten to Kylo's mind, or blah, blah, blah. So, to me, when people say, oh, Luke was embracing the dark side by trying to kill him, I don't think that was the case at all. But like he said, it was like a fleeting shadow came, and he was left with consequences. And, that's pretty much sums up what Luke's arc is about, that he was left with consequences of his actions as a hero. His, positive actions, and his negative actions left him with these consequences, and left him this broken man, as we see. The other thing that I really dug about Luke's arc is how it expanded the mythos, in a way expanded the mythos of the Force. Because now the Force has become something that's mystical again, something that's mysterious again, which, it had seemed like the Force had just become like a superpower, it's something you can tap into, like the Speed Force, something you can, and then it's like a superpower. But now we see that it's more than that. It's like something that's so vast and unknowable that you couldn't even learn everything, all the secrets of the Force, in one lifetime. Also, like, one thing I always thought about was like, damn, dog, like, Yoda's 900 years old, like, shouldn't be, like, super, super powerful. But even in 900 years, that's still not enough time to know the Force. And I feel like when you really, really get to know the Force is probably when you turn into a Force ghost, which makes Luke's, transition to the other side that much more poignant. Now, let's take a little moment to talk about fucking that Yoda scene, yo. How dope was that? I knew we were going to get a Force ghost. I was thinking maybe, Obi-Wan was gonna come back. The old actor that played him, was it Ian McGregor?
Ewan.
Ewan? That's his name? Ewan? Okay, him. I thought he was gonna come back, maybe like with an old beard. Or that maybe I would see like, Attack of the Clones Yoda, the CG Yoda. I wasn't expecting the fucking doll, yo. How dope was that? And not even like the Phantom Menace doll. They used the fucking Empire Return of the Jedi doll, which I thought was fucking dope. And I personally like Attack of the Clones and the prequel Yoda, but it seems that in the time that he was in Dagobah, he himself matured, much like Luke had some development. He probably had that development on Dagobah, and he was a different, more carefree character. The Force will do what the Force does. He's got more faith in the Force than he did in the prequels, and that's what makes him more playful and more like it's like page turners there were not, and then he laughs like That also gives me hope for the next movie because he fucking was basically he was Storm from the X-Men, dog. He called down lightning. And then he force pushed Luke out of that tree. It's like, dog, I didn't know you could have like physical interaction with like the physical world once you're a Force ghost, which gives me hope for Luke, man. Maybe he can do some shit as a Force ghost in the next movie, cause he gonna come back as a Force ghost, dog. I don't want to hear no fucking bullshit. He's gonna come back as Force ghost Luke, and I'm fucking dying to see it. What's important to me to point out about the whole Yoda interaction was the fact that it shows you that when Luke is stripped down of everything, of the Force, of his whole story, deep down inside, deep in his like most innermost person, he's still a very impulsive person. He's like, I'm gonna burn this tree down, and he's like, I ain't gonna do shit. And then Yoda's like, and but that's how he is. He's like, fuck, I'm gonna just do this. And Yoda tells him, he's like, still always looking to the horizon, bro. Never got your mind on what is now. And, that's always been the downfall of the Skywalkers. Maybe not for Leia as much. But, Anakin and Luke, that's their biggest weakness. Is they're always looking toward the horizon. You know what I mean? Never got their mind on what they are. That's my forced inhale look. To make my last point on why I like this Luke Skywalker arc so much, I want to point out that Luke's story forces us to deal with hubris. It forces us to deal with our own hubris. Because he is our childhood hero, we put ourselves in his shoes. And we think, we are him in a way. So it forces you to think about your own self. Like, how arrogant are you that you think that you can just be completely infallible and just defeat everybody with your laser sword, as he put it, It forces you to think, maybe I'm not infallible. Maybe I do have more room to grow. This is not the finished product. Just like Luke was not the finished product. And maybe you need to be a little bit more introspective. So as my ending words on this, I'm gonna say this. Little bitch, be humble. Moving on to things that people had against this flick about Luke Skywalker. People were mad that, like, last movie, it was like such a dramatic moment when Rey hands him the lightsaber and he takes it. He doesn't do anything, whatever. And in this movie, he takes it and just throws it over his shoulder. People were like, oh, they played that for comedy. Personally, I didn't think it was that bad because it let you know how he felt about Jedi and the whole thing all in one motion. All the comedy with Luke hit right on point. It was funnier than most of the other stuff, the comedy from like Finn and Rose and stuff, and like BB-8 and shit. To me, the Luke comedy was like some of the funniest stuff, his scene with Chewie was cool. That wasn't, I don't think, played with comedy. People complain about that a lot. Obviously, one thing I didn't mention before actually was the R2-D2 scene. That was really cool. But yeah, even like the part where he's like squeezing out the green milk, people had problems with that. I felt like his fucking facial expression like did the most. It was like, yeah, bitch, this is my life now. This is my life now. I'm squeezing titties and drinking green milk, bitch. It's not even supposed to be green. It's just full of pus. Because I'm nasty. Nasty motherfucker. A lot of people are mad that he died. I thought that that was handled with a lot of grace. And I'm sure that we're going to see him back as the Force goes. So I wasn't mad at that at all. I was, I was a little bummed because it is Luke Skywalker. And we all do love him. And we just got him back. And, right away, obviously he's gone. But that's sad as fuck and all that. But my biggest gripe with it was the fact that his power levels were not up to par, money. Like I said before, Jedis aren't superheroes in this. They're not meant to be superheroes. But I would have just liked Luke to just show a little bit more power level at the end, dog. Like, cool, he showed up. He did that one strenuous thing at the very end. But, just one more thing. I would have just liked him to, throw off all the at-ats. I don't give a fuck. Just show one super powerful Jedi thing that he does. Just I really wish he just pushed everything back and then, we can get the rest of that. That's one thing I personally had a gripe with. Obviously, I would have liked to see more green lightsaber action. That was a little bit of a bummer for me too, but, what we got was better than what I was expecting. So, in that sense, I ain't even mad at the green lightsaber. But just the power level things at the end, dog. Just show me just one thing where he just went, doom, wrecks mad motherfuckers. And they had to scramble to try to get the resistance, when they're leaving and shit. To me, that would have been cool, at least, push Kylo all the way to the next mountain range. Some shit, dog. That's one thing that I just wish they would have showed about Luke. Now, moving on to Rey and Kylo. Starting with Rey. I felt that Rey got a little bit shortchanged in this movie because everything about her storyline is contingent on Luke's storyline and on Kylo's storyline. So I felt like the first movie, she was her own thing and she kind of drove the plot forward. In this movie, she was kind of there, but everything to do with her had to deal with Kylo or with Luke. Which to me, disturbed me a little bit. The counterbalance to that is that by the end of the movie, Rey does realize, her big realization is that the power's within her. She doesn't have to, she can't look outside of her for, validation or for just someone to teach her. No. Everything she needs is within her. And this is pointed out, especially in that cave scene, which is really reminiscent of the Dagobah cave scene also. Because, there are places in this galaxy where you can go and it's rich with the dark side. And for some reason, places that are rich with the dark side and the light in occasions, but I've mostly seen the dark, they give you these vision quests type deal, And I think in that cave scene with her, when she's doing the snapping, and she asks the cave who her parents are, and you see his figure, two figures coming into one and looking. She ends up looking at herself. That's basically what the lesson is. Dude, it's you. Don't focus on that. It's you as well. And also, Kylo echoes this in his lesson, kill the past. If you have to, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. You have to move forward. Just like she has to learn how to look inside herself and not look to Han, not look to Luke, not look for her parents and, all that jazz. It's all about her, and that's the good development about her that I ended up liking in this movie. Now, back to Kylo. I just want to point out how meta that commentary was about letting the past die. I felt like that was also a little wink to the fans. It's dude, we're moving forward. Star Wars can't just be the original 3 films and just everything just keep being based on that. We're moving forward whether you like it or not. That's what I feel like a lot of the fans are pissed off too, because it feels like a little bit of an insult in that sense. Luke's throwing the lightsaber away. Luke saying, calling it a laser sword. Kylo in a very tongue-in-cheek way telling you dude, let your shit go. We're doing this now. I understand why some fans can be disturbed by that. On the other hand, it's dude, do you just want to keep recycling the same old stuff over and over? We've been watching these same movies for 40 years, 30, whatever years. We've watched them enough. You want something new, or do you just want to put it to bed? I mean, it's cool if you just want to put it to bed. Just watch the old movies, just don't watch these new ones, I mean, you're gonna be the one missing out, to be honest. But I just thought that was cool, how that was like a little, wink to the fans. Moving on with Kylo's development, I really dug what they did with Kylo's development in this movie. It's one of the best psych outs I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. Where you think it's going one way, again, you think it's going one way, but this is not the way. This is not gonna go the way you think it is. Kylo, you thought he was maybe turning to the light side, and the whole time you're like, whoa, oh shit, Kylo and Rey, they gonna do it. She's gonna turn him. And then it's like, no, bitch, I didn't do this for you. I didn't go through all this bullshit for you. I did it for myself. I want to be the new motherfucker now. Fuck Snoke. I'm the man now. Like, I want you with me, but if you ain't coming with me, fuck you, bitch. I'm just gonna keep it moving. And I dug that, man. Like, now we got our villain. We didn't get, like, the villain, but he's not really the villain. There's a more villainous guy than the villain. They did away with that with, obviously with Snoke, because this is a spoiler review. You should know that by now. Snoke, right away, in the coolest way, too. He tricked him, like, again, the point of your hubris getting the best of you. The whole time it's like, yeah, I can look inside his mind. I know what he's doing. And the whole time, he couldn't look exactly in his mind. He looked at his feelings. And he tricked him at that perfect time. Just chop, motherfucker. Yeah, man. Kylo just got some of the best development. And like I was saying, now we get our villain. Like, the cool villain is now the villain. It's not like the son of the villain, the secondary villain, the auxiliary villain, or whatever. No, the cool villain is the villain, and now the story can be streamlined forward in that way. And I hope he gets his comeuppance. That little bitch gonna die, because I said so. Also, that throne scene, the fight scene, was dope as fuck. That is what we got instead of a lightsaber on lightsaber battle. I'm okay with that, I guess. I mean, I would have been okay with a little bit more lightsaber on lightsaber action, but hey, this is what we got, and I ain't mad at it. Now, moving on to the points about Kylo and Rey that people hated, and about Snoke that people hated in this movie. Snoke, yeah, I mean, I get that Force Awakens set all these seeds and all these plot points that we're like, yo, we're gonna get the answer to in this movie, and it fucking answered nothing, dude. Like, Snoke, you got no backstory for him. It was just, that's it. And Rey, they set up the whole parents thing, and then you get the reveal that, yeah, they're nobodies. Yeah, whatever. And, you're like, the Knights of Ren. Who the fuck are the Knights of Ren? They didn't even fucking barely mention the Knights of Ren in this one. So it's like, I can see why fans are really pissed off. Because it's like, they set you up, and then, you took the fall, and then now you get nothing. But everybody gotta remember, there's one more flick left, man. Snoke, you can still tell his origin, and I'm glad that the story's not gonna be bogged down, by another villain, because we never got a backstory for the Emperor in the original films. He was just an evil guy, right? I didn't want the same thing to happen with Snoke, and I know because I didn't particularly care for The Force Awakens like a whole lot. I knew that I'm not saying it's a bad film, but I knew that that movie wasn't made for me. It was made for the fans of the original that hated the prequels, and it was made for the new generation that didn't even know Star Wars. So, to me personally, I never cared for Snoke, and now I'm glad he's gone. And that's not to say that next movie they're not gonna really give an explanation to where he comes from. Same with the Knights of Ren. I felt that they didn't need to show him in this movie. This movie was streamlined, had their ideas in mind. And next movie, you can show the Knights of Ren. You can show Snoke's origin, and that can be the focus of that movie. Now, as far as Rey's parentage is concerned, one of my theories, all my friends know, one of my theories was like, maybe she was just some random jit, and she got trained in Luke's palace or something, or Luke's temple. And, then she got left on Jakku. But maybe she's a random jet. Maybe she's not a Kenobi. Maybe she's not a Skywalker or a Solo. Maybe she's some random kid. And I'm glad that's what it is. And, like, how Solo put it, too. How Ben Solo put it, too. How Kylo put it. was like, your parents were a bunch of drunks. You ain't nothing in this story. Like, you've got nothing to do with this whole thing. It was like, oh shit, you know, how the fuck does he know? Personally, I don't fully believe Kylo. I think there's more to the story, but I do like the fact that she does, you know, she's not coming from this lineage, not just the Skywalkers got the power. The Force is broad. The Force is for everybody. You don't own the Force. The Jedis don't own the Force. The Skywalkers don't own the Force. You know what I mean? Anybody can be, you know, that's what some people like about New Hope, that it just felt like anybody can be special, and that's what it feels like with Rey. I hope they don't go pedaling backwards on this and they tell you, oh no, she's, you know, Leia and Luke's kid, and they left her on Jakku because, you know, they didn't want everybody to know they were fucking, you know, Game of Thrones style. Now, I'm going to come to the weakest arc in the whole movie. The Finn and Rose arc. There was a lot to like, but a lot to, like, draw through in this arc. Because at points, it's like, okay, this could have really worked. Maybe if it was a bigger arc in an other movie. But it just didn't work, man. It bogged down the whole plot to me. The whole momentum they were building with the other scenes with Kylo and Rey and Luke and, you know, and Poe, everything, all the momentum they were building just kind of like would drag every time, especially in Canto Bight, I believe the planet is called, the gambling planet, the casino planet. To me, it looked, just the aesthetic of that planet looked so much a departure from Star Wars that it was a little bit hard to get through. Also, BB-8, I would have liked if BB-8 would have done like one cool thing, but he did like 80 cool things in this whole fucking movie. It was like, dude, BB-8 is like, at this point, like, too OP. It's like, he's beating up guards with some bullshit little coins that a gremlin put in him. You know, he's shooting the coins at the guards. He's, you know, I felt like BB-8 could have just had the moment with the AT-AT. That was cool when he came out. But just that one moment, you know, he's with, was it JC or whatever? Benicio del Toro's character was, rescuing them on the ship. You know, that whole sequence with them running through the town, fucking it up with those horsey bun creatures, which they look cool. They look cute as fuck, but, you know. And, you know, like I said, like, I'm kind of like, meh on it because I hated how it bogged down the story, but parts of it I liked. Like, Benicio del Toro's character I liked. I just didn't like that they found him so easily. Like, oh, we're going to get the code breaker. Oh, we couldn't find them? Oh, but there's another code breaker in our jail cell. You know, and his whole commentary on Finn about what's good and what's evil. Look who this guy's helping. That was cool. Their whole commentary on, like, war profiteering, that was cool. But then again, how it was executed was very poorly, in my opinion. But that's, you know, that's one of the weakest points of this movie. For as good as this movie is, it does have its Achilles heel, and this is it. One thing that was weird, though, was like, oh, let's free those horses, but the kids can stay slaves, though. Fuck the kids. Even though she gave them that ring, that was, you know, cool. They show it at the end or whatever, you know, the rebellion ring or whatever. The other cool part was, like, instead of Mos Eisley, you know, where they say it's like, you've never seen such a, you know, a scum and villainy, a place with so much scum and villainy. She had like a throwback to that line. I thought that was kind of funny. And then, you know, you're like, oh shit, they're gonna go in another like hood ass bar, like another dive bar. Like, nah, they're just gonna go to like a casino with a bunch of rich people. I thought that was cool. And then like when they get on the ship, on Snoke's ship, that scene where they run in and they're about to destroy the tracker or whatever, and everybody comes out. That scene seemed a lot very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, when they're on the forest moon of Endor, and they go in and they think they got their, you know, mission accomplished, and then people are like, nah, bitch, we tricked you. I thought that was really super cool, but the whole Finn and Rose thing from beginning to end was a little clunky. Even how they got the mission, like, Maz Kanata's like, oh, go find this one guy, and she's doing her thing, which is like, what the fuck was Maz Kanata doing, yo? She was doing the most. Also, the end, like, Finn was about to make the greatest sacrifice, and, you know, the whole movie, you're like, But you get into the end, you're like, dude, I expect anything and everything at this point. They could fucking kill off Finn, I guess. That's what they're gonna do. And then she comes and save him for a little peck on the cheek, you know, a little kiss. Like, okay, alright, that's a little weird. But then again, the message of that was kind of cool. It was like, we're not gonna defeat by fighting who we hate. We're gonna defeat the First Order by, you know, saving who we love. Which is, you know, a nice sentiment. But then again, it's like, yeah, you would have stopped that cannon, and you ain't know Luke was gonna show up, so I don't know. That's my view on, you know, the whole Finn and Rose arc. Not completely garbage, but did bog the movie down, did slow the movie down a lot, caused a lot of narrative problems. But you know, at the end of the day, almost no movie's perfect. You know, very few movies are. So whatever, it was kind of fun. So it wasn't all bad. Just to close up this video, I just want to point out how cool the whole crate scene was with the battle and, you know, Rey's realization of how she lifted the rocks, you know, her embracing her own inner Jedi, you know, how she saved him kind of like Han Solo saved Luke in New Hope. She came in at the end with the Falcon, blasting motherfuckers. The whole scene where like the sand, you know, it's like it wasn't sand, it was salt, but underneath they had that, you know, like red mineral that was underneath. That was cool. That was good. You know, like visually, it just kind of made it like feel like a war, because it was like the planet itself looked like it was bleeding. Those are more or less my thoughts on The Last Jedi. Like I said, I love this movie. If you didn't particularly care for it because you're a huge fan, you had reasons, I understand. I would just say watch this movie again with an open mind, open heart, and just be open to the fact that these movies are changing, and, you know, there's kind of like a changing of the guard of them. So, you know, if you still can't stomach them, you always have the old movies, and that can be your fucking mythology forever, and that's okay too. But, yeah, like I said before, you guys have happy holidays. You can like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good shit. You can find me on IG at Ol Drunken Geek, dropping loads on IG. Yeah, ODG out.